What would you do if you discovered a mysterious portal to an alternate dimension? Well, that's what the heroes of our story have to ask themselves in this film. Big thanks to Uncork'd Entertainment for providing me a screener to check out this film just a little bit early, because it's going to be coming out on disc and digital on Tuesday, September 6th. It's The Alternate. The Alternate is ultimately about a struggling, down-on-his-luck filmmaker who discovers a puzzling portal while editing his latest project. The portal in question leads to an alternate dimension where the life that he's always dreamed of was waiting for him on the other side. The only problem with living out his idea of a perfect life is that it's not exactly his to live. I found this film to be incredibly engaging, even though it had a premise that, in a way, we have seen before. The portal aspect kept the film elevated, while the filmmaking aspect kept the film grounded in what I consider to be a surprisingly solid science fiction narrative. As a filmmaker myself, I appreciated the honest look at this character, editing with Adobe Premiere Pro in the movie itself, which is the program that I use for my own filmmaking projects, and I absolutely love the original discovery of where this portal in question came from, which was like a really zoomed in look at what originally appeared to be just dead pixels on a camera or a screen. But when he blows it up, it's our magical portal. I thought that was really neat. And narratively, I had to ask myself, okay, now that we discovered this portal, where's the story gonna go? This is the type of narrative to not just explain to you what the main character's thinking. Instead, it relies a lot more on the performance and the emotions of our main character Jake as he looks around this strange but familiar new world. And even though it doesn't tell you what he's thinking, what he's feeling, or anything like that, you can kind of get a feel of what he's brewing up in his head, and that's testament to the performance coming out of Ed Gonzalez Moreno, and I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, but he does a pretty great job here, especially because he has double duty, and he has to play two very different versions of himself. Also, as this is a low-budgeted film, I have to commend them on the effect of the portal, which doesn't look half bad. It's the only real effect that I can manage to pick out of the film, and given how often it is seen in the film, I never once questioned the legitimacy of it actually being a portal to another dimension. So my suspension of disbelief was pretty much all in here. A couple of things I also wanted to point out is that, one, there is a mid-credit scene in this film, so make sure that you don't miss that. Also, I did not expect the ending of the film, but I absolutely loved it anyway, and I thought that the editing in particular was super subtle during the ending, but very smart too. So as a whole, the narrative of this film is something that to me felt unique, engaging, and unpredictable, even though it does somewhat follow a plot that sorta feels familiar. We've seen portal films, of course, we've seen movies where others have stolen each other's lives, doppelganger films, things of the nature, yet it still felt unique to me. The only real negative that I have to say about the film as a whole is that this character Jake, at least on paper, isn't all that interesting. He's not like a scientist that makes this discovery, he's just a guy that happened to be in the right place at the right time, and he just happens to have a few skills in Premiere that allows him to zoom in on dead pixels and render a footage that just so happens to be a portal. I felt as if, character-wise, this could have happened to anybody. So, years from now, you won't be remembering this movie for the character, but rather the premise of a portal and alternate reality as a whole. So let's take a look at the final score for a second, which I rated The Alternate B+ letter grade, final score of 81%, 81 out of 100 possible stars. The limitations of the budget kept certain things from getting a higher technical score simply because it wasn't in the budget. But for something independent like this, and especially for such a grand idea, this is actually really highly scored from my experience, and I wouldn't mind checking it out again later down the road, and even recommending it to a few close friends of mine, because I think in general it's probably going to be overlooked because it's not this big Hollywood film, but it does deserve to be checked out. Kind of like last year's Repeat. It has that same vibe. But guys, for those of you that have seen The Alternate, please let me know what you thought about it in the comment section down below. And as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace!